as the Carolina Hurricanes are officially into the Four Nations break. But the good thing about it is there is no salt in these wounds after Saturday's win. And now we get to focus on four guys going to make some noise on the international stage.
You're Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Monday edition of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everydayer for making this your first listen of the day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about, Carolina Hurricanes. I'm your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hockey Writers, also an AHL writer over at the Calder Times, co-host of the Surge Cast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Got a fantastic Monday edition of the podcast as we get to talk about Seth Jarvis Sebastian Aho. Going to do a little bit of a Storm report as a little homage to my guest, and we're going to do some Four Nations face-off. But before I introduce my guest, because I know you guys, you're not really here for me. You're here for the guys that are on the screen right now if you're on YouTube. But today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Now, like I said, got my special guests here. If you're on the YouTube, you already see them. But for the audio listeners, they are the dynamic duo of the Storm Cellar. They are the OGs of the OGs, the guys who make Caniacs have more fun talking about them. I am super excited to have on the podcast once again, Brad and Ray from the Storm Cellar. Gentlemen, how are you doing tonight? And thank you for joining me.
I think he called us old Ray.
He called us
grandpa. That's crazy. Man.
He called us old, but the nicest way possible. Man,
Right.
I gotta have you write all of my entries about me, please. You can be my guy any day of the week, man.
OG sounds better than old man.
Well,
I mean, we've all liked the team at the same amount of time because luckily we were all, alive when they, moved from Hartford. So it works out. We're all OGs here, but there's some a little bit more seasoned on the hair, a little bit more of a seasoned in terms of the hockey fandom. So
when we talk about players, our younger fans are like, "Who the heck is that?" So that's, that's how I look at it.
It's funny when you talk about older Hurricanes players. You're like, I don't remember that guy. I'm like, oh, am I in this phase of my life?
Do you remember that time Robert Cron? And they're like, what's a Robert Cron? Isn't that a movie? Isn't that a Disney movie with the light cycles? Like,
it's like oh hey that guy Kevin Dineen. It's like, who's that? And it's like, oh.
That hurts my heart when I hear that.
If you don't know who Kevin Dineen is, please, after you listen, take 5 minutes, Wikipedia Kevin Dineen.
Yeah, please do so. But guys, I mean, we're officially in the Four Nations break, but the Hurricanes did come home on Saturday. Unfortunately, I missed it because I was at work. But hearing on the radio, of course, you can't go wrong with Mike and Shrett. But how about that 7-3 win against the Utah Hockey Club, getting a little bit of revenge after losing 4-1 in November and coming out, putting up a touchdown, which I think a lot of football teams would love to know what that feels like. But they got the 7 points against Utah. And I think two of those guys kind of led the way for the Hurricanes. How about Seth Jarvis and Sebastian Aho? My gosh, 7 combined points. I mean, bringing 2024 vibes into 2025. I'm here for it.
It was, I'm here for it too. It was amazing. And it was funny too, because in that game, I said, watching that one, they didn't even come to the forefront until what jumped out at me right off the top. And I mentioned this to Brad because Brad and I text each other all the time. It's like we're sitting beside each other through every game.
Like any other married couple. Yeah.
Like married couple. Yeah.
Sure.
Better looking one. The one that what really jumped out at me, it wasn't Fishy, it wasn't Seth Jarvis, it was the second line. It was Taylor Hall, it was Robinson. Robinson looked like he was playing on a cheat mode. It was, or cheat code rather. It was unbelievable. And KK, they looked fantastic. And then all of a sudden, we got a power play goal. Once I came to after fainting,
we scored on the power play.
It was amazing, and then they were just at full throttle, and that's when they really took over the game. And I'm still trying to grasp how in the world Seth Jarvis saw and knew that Aho would be going to the front of the net with a no-look backhand pass, short-handed. Yeah. The short-handed goal. That is connection. That is. It's like it sounds like an insult saying that they might share the same mind, but it's though they're
telepathy, man. It's the telepathy thing going on. It's like, he's over there. It just gets there.
There it was. I mean, it was a beauty to watch.
Seth Jarvis has become if Aho is Ron Francis 2.0, which is what Ray likes to say, Seth Jarvis is Teuvo Teravainen 2.0.
Yeah,
Finnish, which is funny since Teuvo is Finnish.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I had to go for the.
Honestly, it's almost like Seth Jarvis is almost like the Eric Stahl 2.0 is kind of what I kind of compare him to, because the fact that maybe not the body size, but the Swiss Army knife of his play with the finish on top of it. Like Eric Stahl was power play, penalty kill, 3 zone face-offs, 200-foot game. That's what Seth Jarvis is for me. He's just a smaller version of a mini Eric Stahl, but with a lot more speed and just charisma. Yeah. Basically, if you're a D&D fan, charisma set to 20. That's where Seth Jarvis is at.
It absolutely is, and so is dexterity, and so is intelligence and wisdom,
constitution, everything. Everything is all maxed.
He's a hill dwarf. He's a hill dwarf bard, performance bard, like with a level and fighter. I mean,
everyone's just like, what's this D&D stuff?
Hey, you know what? It's the best way for us to describe this.
The D&D fans though are all out there going, oh yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah,
absolutely get it. But Seth Jarvis, I mean, Fishy is close to my heart, and it's funny. All of the things that you described about Seth Jarvis is how I describe Sebastian Aho, and perhaps that is exactly why they're so good together, because they play the same game with the same, sort of mindset, and to have 2 guys on that lineup together, it's beautiful to watch.
I said on our show today, we were talking about these two. Aho is still your best player, generally speaking. I mean, Mikko Rantanen's come in. I think he's going to take off at some point here, and he's the superstar. Aho right now is your best player. I think Seth Jarvis is if he isn't already, Seth Jarvis is your next face of the franchise, right? He may not be the best player on the team at any given point, but when people think Carolina Hurricanes, the name that's going to pop out is going to be Seth Jarvis. I think the kid is that good. He has the charisma, like his little interview skits. He works hard. He doesn't take shifts off. He does all the things you want him to do. And he's put up 20 points since January. For the season, he's ahead of guys like Austin Matthews. You never hear Seth mentioned in Austin Matthews or Ovechkin's category, John Tavares, but he's there. He's ahead of those guys. I mean, he's putting on quite a season.
Well, yeah, because you look at the fact of, because second most goals in the NHL since January 1st, 11 goals at home, most by any player, and he's the only guy to have 2 4-point games. I mean, you're talking about dialed in for a guy like Seth Jarvis. And here's the thing, too, for me, I get what you're saying with how Sebastian Aho was probably your best player. I almost want to counter that with saying, I think, like with how Sebastian Aho is your best player, but I think Seth Jarvis, I think, is your most consistent player. Like Sebastian Aho is amazing. Like let's not be wrong. Sebastian Aho is amazing. We all know he's going to have a lot of records, but I think if you're talking about a second guy who might even push for his numbers, I think that's Seth Jarvis, and I think he's your most consistent guy, because maybe he's not scoring every night, but you see him all over the ice 100% consistent. Honestly, 124%. That's where I feel Seth Jarvis is at. It's just, I feel like there's more consistency. I think there's more of you see Rod Brennamore using him, like I said, as a Swiss Army knife of power play, penalty kill, even strength. He's like his faceoffs have gotten better. Maybe it's not 40. It's like upper 30s, lower 40s sometimes for Seth Jarvis, but it's getting there. But you see him every night putting in a shift. You can put him first line, third line, second. He even double shifted him when they played 11-7. No other guy double shifted, but Seth Jarvis did. Yeah. That's where I think for me, it's like, I think Sebastian Aho is like your best player. But I think someone who's your most consistent and who could be that next guy to maybe take his numbers. For me, I think that's Seth Jarvis. And we'll be right back with the second segment of this episode. So stick around as I'll jump more into all of that here in a second on a Monday edition of Locked on Hurricanes. When the game tips off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or want to bet on the fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into the same game parlay. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, without further ado, let's jump back into the conversation with Brad and Ray.
Real quick, Ray.
Yeah.
When Rod needs to get a line going, who does he put on the line? Seth Jarvis. He wants to get the top line going. Seth Jarvis to get 7 points. Carrier goes out. Oh, I want to kickstart Stahl's line because him and Martinook. Martinook's really driving play. Give him Seth Jarvis. Oh, things take off. When Rod needs a boost, Seth Jarvis seems to be his go-to, and for such a young kid, and
23,
and the kind of coach who rewards longevity and seeing, a locker room, a coach's coach, to give the kid that much latitude, I think shows how much respect Rod has for Jarvis's game and how good. Jarvis is going to get better for the next, in theory, 4 or 5 years. Thanks, Toronto. Appreciate that Patrick Marleau pick.
Yeah, Toronto, thank you very much for that. And
we should make a sign, Ray. Sorry, off topic. We'll be in Toronto together. We're very excited. We should put that
on a T-shirt.
We should.
Thanks, Toronto.
We could do T-shirts. Thanks, Toronto. The pick. Sincerely, Seth Jarvis. I love it.
I would love that. And you know what? Just to normally I get my hackles up a little bit when someone discusses issues that Fishy might have, but I have to agree with you. No, understand. I have to agree with you when you talk about Seth Jarvis because he never disappears. Mm-hmm. Sadly, sometimes there are guys who you go, was he on the ice? I haven't heard his name. I haven't heard, I haven't heard the play-by-play guy mentioning him. Where did he go? Doesn't mean that he wasn't out there. Doesn't mean that he wasn't trying hard. With Jarvis, he's always in and around the play. He's always involved, and you always hear about him. So I think I can echo that as far as Jarvis goes, is that's where that is. He is noticeable every time you see him. And it's I'm so glad we locked him up. There's the reactions that a lot of fans have with lock down your favorite player for as long as possible because you have that emotional tie to your favorite player.
Right.
Look, it's just smart that he was, extended, Aho extended. These are the right guys that you want extended for long term because you want them at their best and watch them grow. And looking at Jarvis and Aho together, They're like homegrown, right? Like they were ours right from the start. And you love seeing them succeed. You love seeing them playing together. And Jarvis is certainly, I love that Jarvis has so much talent because he can push Aho. And Aho is got that competitive spirit that everyone wants. And he wants to get better all the time too. Jarvis is a rink rat. Everyone knows that, hey, unless you were asking him or begging him to play Fortnite or something like that with KK or something, you know what I mean? Like, where are you going to find him? You're going to find him at the rink. You have a day off, Seth Jarvis, what do you want to do on your day off? I'm going down to the rink.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Yeah, 100%. And here's the crazy part too. When you look at, like, he's already setting a new career high in 12 of ice time per game. 19 minutes and 22 seconds this season. Last year was 18:45. And we talk about, like you said, skill. How about this for the PK of how good he's been this year on the penalty kill? 3 shorthanded goals, 5 shorthanded points. That's more than last year combined in 81 games. He had 2 goals, 3 points last year. This year, 3 and 5 in 49 games. So, his power play goals, that's at 6. Last year at 13, but there's a lot of games left. There's 26 games left to pick it up. Power play points. How about this year? 13. Last year, 20. Like, he has the potential, I believe, to have power play goals, shorthanded goals, and both of those sets of points already new records this season. And just goes to show how crazy of a year he's having right now. I made a tweet last night about it, or Saturday night about it, wrote an article about it for Sunday, and I wholeheartedly believe that Seth Jarvis is not going to be a star. He's going to be a superstar, and this is why. In not even 4 full seasons, guys, this is the crazy part. He's currently sits 35th all-time in points at 191. He is 19 shy of hitting 30th all-time. That's up by Mike Rogers with 210. That's only because he played 2 seasons for Hartford, and that's where he set the franchise, not Hurricanes, but overall Whalers Hurricanes for points in the season with 105 twice. Yeah, that's insane. The fact you got 210 points in 2 seasons and that's it at Hartford. That's nuts. But you're talking like 80, I think it was like 79, 80, 80, 81. So you're talking, this is like old school, like 70s, 80s hockey. But for the fact that Seth Jarvis is 20 away from having sole possession or 30th, not even in 4 full seasons is absolutely insane to think about. For the fact that he's 23 in the first year of an 8-year deal. He's also 23 points shy of a new career high, which would put him at 68. He's on pace right now with 7 games less played last year to have 69 points in the season. And he's 12 goals and 12 assists away from having new career highs in goals and assists too. Like, that's insane of the fact that he's going to play less games last year this season and might have new career highs across the board and top 30 all time in franchise history and points. And I'm going to pat myself on the back a little bit here. I called that back in August. I say he'll hit top 30. He's 19. He's 20 points away from doing it.
I wonder if Jarvis can be what people wanted Natchez to be. Like, I think he's not as flashy. Don't get me wrong. He's not as fast. He doesn't have the pure skating ability Natchez has. Mm-hmm. But what most of us wanted, I think, was for Natchez to be an 80 to 100 point guy consistently. And I think Jarvis can be that guy for you. So you with the Rantanen trade, you did give up Natchez and you brought in. I mean, it's Mikko Rantanen, but on top of that, if Jarvis continues to develop, like you said, he's 23. He's not going to really hit his stride till he's probably 26 or 27. Most of those guys take a little more time.
That's kind of that's your range of prime,
right?
Yeah, and that's your prime is 26, 27, 28. Yeah.
If he's 25% better in 4 years, holy smoke!
He's like potentially almost hitting 70.
Offense, right? It's not just the offense. He's a great two-way forward. Our penalty kills are around 89%, best in the league. Mm-hmm. But our net penalty kill is 95.5, I think, because of Seth Jarvis's shorthanded goals. I mean, that's phenomenal. Not only phenomenal,
the one against you, that setup against Utah. Oh, fantastic! I still think of the one against the team that shall not be named on Cam Ward night when he went shorty on them.
for the Hattie.
For the Hattie.
Because Zach was sitting about 6 inches away from me. It was phenomenal. That was
it was so great.
One of my favorite goals I've ever seen in person.
Yeah, and I was there in person for it too, and it couldn't have happened to a better.
Couldn't happen to a better team. Could not happen against a better team.
It made my soul jump, and just you put that big stack of achievements there. Recall almost the entirety of last season, he had a bum shoulder too.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, throw it in there. And Brad, I jumped in and said, I think he already is what it for me, maybe he's not as flashy or whatever, but he has the lunch pail work ethic and that I love in all players that have it.
Yep.
That's what endears me to them the most. And that is what you wanted from Natchez that you didn't always see. You never not see it with Seth Jarvis. And that's why
Seth Jarvis is not a prima donna. And I'm not going to say Natchez is, but I'm going to hint at it a little bit. Not big, but I don't know.
The summer dragged on a little bit longer than everyone wanted, for sure.
Seth Jarvis probably can't even spell prima donna. And that's what I love about him.
Yeah. Yeah. He's just amazing through and through.
Yeah. He's 100%.
just a Canadian kid who wants to go out there and play hockey. And
pretty much
play at the highest level. And that's what he does.
Yep.
Yeah. So one last couple quick things left for Seth Jarvis before we talk about Sebastian Aho a little bit. Keen Stat Brand. I know both of you gentlemen know this account. Very amazing person. I always reference them because it's just fantastic stuff.
Indeed.
Regular season, Carolina Hurricanes 63-5-5 when Seth Jarvis scores a goal.
I love that.
You love to see it. How about this though too? So someone asked him, how about when he scores 2 goals? 10, 1, and 1 in the regular season. Playoffs, 2-0.
Yeah.
No big deal. And I love this quote from Ryan Burnmore after he had his 4-point game against Utah. The type of plays that were made, they were high-end plays. That's what he can do, but he can also do the other kind of things. It's a no-brainer for him to be on Team Canada, and that's for all the naysayers who keep acting like, why Seth Jarvis? That is why.
Yeah, when we get to discussing Four Nations a little bit later on, leave the Seth Jarvis discussion to me. I'll take you through the whole thing, and I
wax poetic for us, right? Wax poetic for us.
I absolutely will, 100%.
Just reading those stats of 63-5-5 when he scores, 10-1-1 when he scores 2, and 2-0 in the playoffs. Thank you, Mr. Seth Jarvis. I've been calling him Mr. Canada recently because since he got named.
Yeah.
I mean, he's Mr. Connor McDavid who?
Yeah.
I think Crosby who? No. He is Mr. Canada.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to get flamed for it, but I don't care.
There you go. I won't quite go that far, but I will say, and Brad discussed.
It's more tongue-in-cheek than anything else.
Of course, and I understand. But there's a point to this. We discussed how great Seth Jarvis has been in the past month and so forth, right? Like he is just on fire.
Yeah.
It's no coincidence in my mind that him being named to the team happened like the week before Christmas. And
he's been absolutely on fire since Thanksgiving.
But since that announcement, he has really turned it on. And I think that acknowledgement of him making the team with what happened, like the gross mismanagement of the junior team that didn't select him when he was one of the last cuts. He knows how important it is. He heard all of the complaints about how many other people were more deserving to be there, and he showed them. But I'm getting ahead of myself again. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes.
Holding on to that.
Hold on.
Yeah.
All right. So Sebastian Aho, real quick. We've talked about him a little bit. I just want to do this one little quick thing for him. 20 goals for Mr. Sebastian Aho. How about the 5th active player to score 20 goals in each of his first 9 seasons in the NHL. The only other guys to do it, how about Mr. Alex Ovechkin with 20, Patrick Kane 13, John Tavares with 11, and Austin Matthews with 9. I mean,
Aho's not a superstar.
right? Yeah.
Right?
Okay, let's jump into that whole discussion. Yeah. All right, guys, one quick last break, and as we come out of that, we'll finish up the rest of this discussion, so stick around. I'll do that here in a second on a Monday edition of Locked on Hurricanes. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job posting on other sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs push your posts at the top of the page and help you reach your right candidates faster. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, well, Indeed is all you need. All right, guys, without further ado, we're going to finish up the rest of the discussion and finish part 1 with Brad and Ray.
Well, it's for him to do that was amazing. And it's a stat that I didn't even realize he had until it was pointed out. And it was like, yeah, why? Like it, and Brad, you
Carolina, right?
Brad
we're the Hurricanes. No one.
Yeah.
My dad says it all the time. No one talks about us. We're always irrelevant.
Which is funny, and that's the small market. But Brad had a great point to this when we discussed this very issue on our episode this week. The reason why no one puts superstar to it, and so I'm throwing it to the captain about.
Go ahead, man. I forgot what I said.
Well, what it was is he's not flashy. If Aho always went down the ice and beat 4 guys like a rented mule before he scored his goal and had like dozens of those kind of goals and plays, he would get the flowers of being a superstar that he deserves. But that's not the kind of goals that he scores. That's not the assists that he does. He is in the right place at the right time because he's a 200-foot, player. And Brad hit the nail on the head. If he could beat people the way, Connor McDavid does, or Nathan McKinnon, or Ovechkin, or Austin Matthews, I don't want to leave any nation out. You know what I'm saying? If he did that way, yeah, people would call him a superstar, but that's not how he scores the goals. And it doesn't matter how, it's how many. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yep. And he's got the numbers. He's got the effort. There's no reason not to call him a superstar, but he's not flashy enough. And Brad said that, and I couldn't.
I remember that now.
That was smart of me. More. It was so good.
Aho reminds me, we Ray and I like what we call lunch pail guys.
Yeah.
Right? The Carriades, the Robinsons, the Jarvises of the world who come in, do their job. Aho is like a line cooks in restaurants. Like, God bless them. It's an incredibly hard job, but those folks can cook.
Yeah.
And Aho is like a guy who was a line cook and now he's got a Michelin star.
Yeah.
Right. But he doesn't have 3.
Love
that. He's not a Gordon Ramsay, right? He doesn't have 3, but he's really good.
Yeah.
But the fact is, when he goes home at night, he cooks like a line cook. Like, he keeps it simple, and he makes simple food that you just would be like, wow, that would be amazing. Like, that's the best analogy I can come up with. Like, he has the talent to do the Michelin star stuff, but he doesn't. He keeps it simple. He plays on the penalty kill and the power play, right? Mm-hmm. He's in all 3 zones. When you look at the people we're comparing him to, how many of those guys do that?
Not all of them.
How often is Alexander Ovechkin on the penalty kill?
Hardly ever.
Like, if 10 guys get thrown out, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's
it's
crazy. Yeah.
See, Zach, this is why Brad is the brains of the operation and the captain of the Storm Cellar, because that analogy is perfect. The exact.
Wait, he brings the analogies, Ray. You bring the poet. You wax the poetic. You bring the little extra like pizzazz you bring the story together.
Yeah, a little fire sometimes too.
Yeah,
get me into trouble. A little.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit when you get the DMing, Zach. It's not personal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not personal. Please don't be. It's all good. But I mean the fact that we talk about Seth Jarvis and Sebastian Aho that long, it goes to show you just how amazing these guys are and how much we have to give these guys their flowers. So you love to see it. But guys, it's time for the Storm Report. For those who haven't, I don't know how you haven't listened to the Storm Cellar, I know this part yet, but you're going to love it. It's a lot of fun. I'll let them just tell you what that's all about, what we're going to be talking about. And guys, I'm super excited for this segment. It's going to be a lot of fun. This is from actually the Storm Cellar's own show. This is called the Storm Report. I've done it with them a bunch of times. It's a lot of fun. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, I don't know why you haven't. Please check them out. After you listen to this episode, of course, go check them out as well. But this is a great segment on their show, and I had to bring it on for these guys. And gentlemen, for those who don't know, I'm going to let you tell them, what is the Storm Report from the Storm Cellar?
We have always wanted to give our guests and our opinions, so forth, about the team in all aspects of the game, all aspects of the team. And we thought, what better way to describe it than when you're looking at a forecast? You want to know when a hurricane is really serious or not. And the idea kind of came to the both of us when we said, hey, why don't we break it down three ways, where we have the tropical depression, right? The lowest form that's still, strong because, hey, they're wearing the jersey, but really needs to work on it. Then there's the tropical storm, right? So you have the depression, then you go to the storm, and the storm is the in-between, right? It's either ramping down, declining, or moving up to full force, which brings us to the hurricane. Now, so the hurricane, of course, is the very best players, the very best aspects of the team, what's really on fire that makes a hurricane, and everything else is in between. And we wanted to leave it to all of our guests and say, hey, what's your forecast? Just like talking to any other weather person, right?
Right.
They have a different view of certain things, and they share their ideas with us, and it's always been fun. One of our favorite aspects of the show, and I don't mean to speak to Brad, or for Brad, but I love it. It's my favorite part of the show when we do it, and that's where it's at.
And no constraints, right? It doesn't have to be a player. It doesn't have to be something specific. We kind of let people generally give us if it's something really broad. The price of concessions went up 50%. Like that's fine. Like that's terrible. Like that's part of going to a hockey game. That's part of the experience. So whatever floats your boat.
The whole aspect of it, you betcha. That's how we do it.
Yep. So, and like I said, guys, if you haven't, please check out their show. If you listen to this one, it's a lot of great stuff. It's a lot of fun. That's why I had to bring it on when you guys were coming on. I'm like, all right, I got to find a good middle segment because it has to be a lot of fun before we get to the what's next. And I'm like, you know what, Storm Report. Just give you guys a little bit of give you your flowers as well because it's a great segment. So, you know what? Let's just start with the tropical depression, which is not the greatest. And Ray, you wax poetic so well. Why don't you kick it off for us?
Thank you. So my tropical depression right now is almost all of the D except for Jacob Slavin. Mm-hmm. We are struggling mightily from the D in virtually every aspect of it, whether it be turnovers, whether it be, everyone talks about how strong Carolina is and how effective they are because the play is driven from the D out and they push the play and so forth. And when we started this season, on fire. Like, it was amazing. There was contributions from everywhere. Gostisbehere and Walker looked great. Orlov and Chatfield together were the best plus minus on the team. Like, they were amazing together, right? Jacob Slavin, you don't have to say anything more about Jacob. Really,
the second C stands for clutch. We all know.
8 penalty minutes, I think, though. I mean,
there goes Lady Bing, right? All these ridiculous penalties.
Well, he has won with 8 before. Well, he's actually won it with 2, but
won it with 2 before.
Yeah, but he is on his 3rd straight season of 8. So as long as he doesn't commit any more, that's 3 straight seasons of 8 PIMs or less. So
my heart hurt yesterday when he took that tripping penalty and he dropped his stick before he. Which let's not get into that. But it's the D. It's just not considered. The turnovers are killing us, and when you look at the difficulties that we've had, the 3-game losing streak before we broke it against Utah, you could point to the turnovers all the time. Orlov, I love you. I love all of our players, but you please, I'm begging you, better control of the puck, please, because we cannot afford to give these grade A chances to the opposition from their blue line. Like, we have control of the play in the offensive zone, and suddenly there's a turnover. Burns does it too, and I love him, and it hurts my heart to put him in that category. But that's what it is for me.
Which is
there's tough love.
Yeah, the thing is, I'll just talk about something and it's like, we need a goalie. I'm like, no, the goalies are not the issue. It's the guys in front of them. I've been saying it all season, and I agree with you, Ray. The defense has been really shaky as of late, and that's why our goalies keep getting left out to dry. Yeah. Goaltending is not the issue in Carolina. It's not been the issue, guys. It's everything in front of it, but I digress.
It's too, and I'm sorry, that's a very broad, all-encompassing kind of thing, but I know there's other depression aspects out there.
But you're not wrong though. So Brad, what's your depression as of right now?
This is low-hanging fruit, but we'll do it with a twist. The power play is 3 for like 150 or something lately. It's terrible.
I think the last time I tweeted about it was like 2 for 48. So it's probably like 3 for 50 something.
I blame the state of North Carolina. So the cash power play,
the cash pop
does not work. The cash pop power play is broken. They need to go back and have a Powerball power play, which was 5th in the league, and not a cash pop power play that is just apparent. I don't know what
under 6%. It's under 6%. I think it's under 5%.
It is, and we knew it was going to be right. They're too static. The purpose of the power play is to get a 2-on-1. You literally have a 5-on-4 advantage. So the fact that you have scored more shorthanded goals in the last 2 months than power play goals is cool on one level, and it's the saddest thing I've ever heard of on the other level. But instead of blaming the power play players themselves, the state of North Carolina needs to do its part. If Roy Cooper was still governor, this would have been fixed. I'm just saying, if Roy was still the governor, we would have a Powerball power play, and this would not be an issue.
Carolina fans shouldn't faint when the power play scores, as I did yesterday. When I came to, we were already up even further, but you shouldn't faint. You shouldn't, do a spit take with
it literally shouldn't be a surprise.
No, it shouldn't.
I was driving. I was like, what? Like, I can't even rewind to listen to that. Did that really happen?
I wanted
it not be a surprise, y'all. It shouldn't be that bad.
Yeah. Before Jarvis's power play goal yesterday, I was suggesting that the next time they call a penalty against our opposition, Rod should just say, hey, you know what? Don't worry about it. We'll send one of our guys into the box and we'll play down 5-4. We'll get 4 or 5 better chances.
I'll leave Aho and Jarvis on the ice shorthanded and they'll be fine.
Yeah.
No, just give us a 6 on 5. Let's just use 6 on 5. You keep all 5 of yours. Just give us the 1X.
Exactly. Unbelievable.
Oh my gosh. That's cash.
Now you're on the spot though. We do this on the regular. Now you get to pick your depression.
Oh, I have been waiting to give you my depression.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
I've been thinking about this since this afternoon, and I love the fans. I do appreciate the support. Going to put that little bit of disclaimer in. Not everyone. It's just I've been seeing this a lot recently, and it needs to be addressed. The fact that people are calling this a busted trade already, how Mikko is not himself, he is not as advertised, and this, and the other. Guys, and like they're also saying that, like, oh, he might not resign because the team stinks right now. They're not playing well. Like, one, sick. 2, team's kind of in a shock. They're also trying to get used to the fact that while the guys are getting used to the system, the rest of the team is getting used to the new guys because they're not used to Mikko Rantanen banging bodies and doing all these crazy passes that no one's really expecting.
And going to the net.
Exactly. And the thing is, Taylor Hall has really kicked KK into gear because once Hall has been with Kotkaniemi, absolutely streaking. I know you had, your guest last week pronounce the name correctly. I'm trying my best. But the thing is, though, you cannot grade a trade with under 10 games with a new team. Yeah, Marty Necas is doing well with Colorado, but the thing about it is, though, Colorado is all gas, no brakes offense.
Yeah. And
also he's gone from 17 to 25 minutes. The top 6 is overworked, overloaded, and that's just not what Rod Brind'Amour does. That's why you see a lot of guys having 18, 16, while the guys on the lower end are still 13, 14 minutes. They balance the thing out. Marty Necas is only flying because now it's an all gas, no brakes offense. He's not playing the Rod Brind'Amour structured system. And Sebastian Aho is a superstar, but Nathan MacKinnon is just we can all agree Nathan MacKinnon is Nathan MacKinnon.
Yeah.
Nothing against Fishy. Love the guy. We all love Fishy, but
no, look,
let's also be realist here.
Admit that. Even I can admit that. No.
Yeah, let's be realist here. Nathan MacKinnon does lead the league in points already, and we're like not even 60 games into the season. He's almost 3 off of 90. Let's be real here. So that's different. But the fact that people are like, oh, Mikko Rantanen stinks because he's not with MacKinnon. Like, there's even like Colorado fans are talking down to Mikko Rantanen. I'm like, you just loved this guy 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And like, we have to pump the brakes on, he's not going to resign. He doesn't like Carolina. Guys, he doesn't even have an apartment yet. Or maybe he does. I don't know. But it's like, he hasn't even played 10 games with the team. The team's been sick. He's getting used to the system. They're getting used to the system. Like, we need to cool it with the Mikko Rantanen is not, we're not doing good with this trade. And I'm also going to be very honest here. I don't remember anyone loving Martin Necas the last couple seasons. If people have heard me on SurgeCast and this show talk about how Marty Necas is good, just give him more time. I've been beating that drum even 2-3 seasons ago when he wasn't doing good. Last season when he had a drop off after having 71. I'm sorry, no one was loving Marty Necas. There was all these people talking about getting rid of him last season.
Yeah.
And nothing against, I'm not saying you guys, I'm just saying a broad general statement.
I said trade him to a team where he fits better and he'll go off, and that's what happened.
Yeah, but now everyone's acting like, oh, we should have kept Marty Necas. He's popping off with Colorado. Different system. Mikko's been in Colorado for a decade. He's not used to a more of a structure. We need to chill out with we're losing this trade. Mikko's not doing so great. Oh, we should not have gotten Marty Necas when no one was loving him last season.
And real quick, we deep dove this day. We spent 20 or 30 minutes on this topic. And a real quick snippet of that is Rantanen clearly had zero idea he was being traded, that he was even on the block. Yeah. I don't think he knew he was being shopped at all. He is in a very different mindset than Marty Necas, who I guarantee you has had a bag packed because he's been the center of trade talks for 3 or 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
So for Marty Necas, he's going, I'm free and I'm going to a more explosive offense and I'm getting 6 more minutes a night and all those things are wonderful. And Mikko is, oh my gosh, the only team I've ever known got rid of me. I didn't even know this was happening. Those are
he was on the road. He wasn't even home.
Right.
He wasn't even at home. He was on the road.
So if you would have told if Ray and I said, look, Natchez is amazing. He's good. I don't think he fits the system. We should trade him and get assets. Been saying that for 3 years. I'm just how I feel. It's how I've always felt. I'm not surprised he's doing well in Colorado. 3 years ago, if you'd have said, you can give up, Marty Natchez and get a first and a couple of high prospects, I think I'd have been like, yeah, do it. Fine. Last year, when we heard about maybe getting Jake Gensel, I'm like, well, that could be a Marty Natchez for Jake Gensel. If you can re-sign Gensel, that's a good trade.
Yeah.
You got Mikko Rantanen, who is, no offense to Jake Gensel, but it's Mikko Rantanen.
Yeah.
Right? You couldn't have got more for Marty Natchez than what you got. So if you give him time to adjust, especially if you can re-sign him, great. If you didn't re-sign him, for people who are worried that we don't re-sign Mikko, every contract Natchez has had, except for his ELC, has been a fight.
Yep.
I don't think there is any chance Natchez signs in Carolina next year. Because after the drop-off, Tulsi's going to look at him and go, hey, like you had a great opening and then you went cold for 6 weeks. And if that, we're going to pay you, that's worth X. And that's all it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
And Natchez is like, that's Rod's system, not me. Pay me Y. And that was never going to happen. So you were losing Natchez for nothing at the end of last year. So even if Mikko doesn't resign, it's not like it's the worst trade ever.
No, it's not.
The cap situation is so much different too, because you got him for a possible 8th year. The cap's going up. There's a lot of cap coming off the books too. You can give him whatever he wants.
Well, they can pay him 14
against
and not blink an eye. I mean, the money's there. It's does he want to stay?
Yeah.
If he doesn't want to stay, that's a different conversation. But that has, to me, nothing to do with Natchez.
And one of the things, just to bring a point, like a fine point to this, as far as people complaining about the Moose's play here in Carolina, not only it's a completely different system. And when you play Rod's system, it's good that he only gets 16, 17 minutes because it's taxing. It's difficult. Because you're expected to play both ends of the ice just as hard. It's full-blown different. Again, as we mentioned earlier, Colorado's all gas, no brakes, right? And so when you're always going forward, there's always that. But do you have to get back and do the work that you need to do to cover your guy? And playing defense is hard, right?
Yeah. And Rantanen's doing that.
Yeah,
he is.
He is.
I think he's been fine. He's come as advertised. It's just he's snake bitten. That's all it is. It's gonna come.
And that's not him. It's the whole team.
Yeah.
It's just chill out.
He could have 5 goals.
It's not been 10 games. It's not been 10 games. Just pump the guys have been sick. Pump the brakes on
could have 5
wild takes.
He could have had 5 goals against Minnesota alone in that game.
He could have 4 against the Kings.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was on press row against the Kings game.
He'll be fine.
He easily could have had 4 goals. I'm like, oh my gosh, this dude just can't get luck. The whole team couldn't get luck. Let's be honest. But my whole this is a long tropical depression, and I know it's a long rant. But my point was, just pump the brakes on the narratives, guys. It's not that serious. It's been less than 10 games. Even Sebastian Aho said circumstances have not been great for these guys for the last few weeks since the trade happened. It's going to be fine. That's why you got him so early, because you have this longer stretch to get used to it instead of March 7th. Okay, you got 20 games to figure out before the playoffs.
That was the best part of that trade. And we've said that on the show too, that the best part about this is it happened when it did, to give Rantanen enough time to acclimatize himself to the team, to the culture, to the style of play. And the talent is there. He's going to be great.
He'll be fine.
Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, he'll be fine. All right.
So, in April.
Yeah. So a longer tropical depression. I'm sorry. We had to talk about it because it's like, okay, we need to nip a bud in this really quick because this is getting a little out of hand going to 4 Nations break. All right, guys, that was part 1 of my Monday show with Brad and Ray. Yes, this was so long. We had to split this into 2 different episodes. So I hope everyone enjoyed part 1 of this. Part 2 will be coming out at 2 p.m. Eastern. It was just an amazing time with these guys. They are very fantastic. I could not highly recommend these guys anymore because they are just that great. So make sure if you're done, you just finished part 1, make sure to listen to part 2 later on today. And then once you're done with that, make sure to go check out their podcast, The Storm Cellar. They are a great group of guys, always having a great time having them on. But like I said, that will wrap up a part 1 of the Monday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Thank you for making it your first listen today. For your second listen, well, check out Locked On Fantasy Hockey. Become a fantasy hockey expert and get the edge over your league mates with daily tips from Steal and Flip. Find Locked On Fantasy Hockey on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you want to keep up with me, I'm at One Shoe Zach on X. The podcast is LO_Hurricanes. I'm also on Blue Sky at the Zachary Martin. Do have link trees in both of my bios where you can find my articles at the Hockey Writers or the HockeyWriters.com. Also, you can check out my AHL content. It is over at the Calder Times or the CalderTimes.com. Check out my other podcast. Well, it's the Searchcast on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. For Locked On Hurricanes, well, Google, Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio. Follow, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating and review because I might just read it on the show. For YouTube, well, it's Locked On Hurricanes. Subscribe, hit the bell notification so you don't miss the show. Hit the thumbs up button to let me know if you liked the show as well. Share with other Caniacs to become everydayers just like you. But like I said, I hope everyone enjoyed part 1 of the Monday show with Brad and Ray. Make sure to stick around this afternoon for part 2 of this amazing 2-part episode special with these guys. Hope everyone enjoys their Monday. And until next time, as always, let's go, Canes.